it gives me great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker and our guest of honor, Mr. Nilesh Shah. Mr. Nilesh Shah has been Managing Director of Kotak Mahindra Asset Management Company Limited. He is currently as MD Kotak AMC, like how we interpreted it, Asset Management Company, as AMC. So it rhymes very well with us. He has over 25 years of experience in capital markets and market-related investments. He is recipient of inaugural Business Standard Fund Manager of the Year award, that in 2004. And he was part of the team. He was a major part of the team that received the Best Fund House of the Year award at Franklin Templeton as well as ICICI Prudential. And now you can see for yourself when he is with Kotak, what is the current valuation and the current status of Kotak. So as a person also, he is absolutely down to earth, such a humble personality. I am really just waiting to hear from him. I'm sure all of y'all are. Thank you so much and welcome, Mr. Nilesh Shah.
Thank you, Sushmita. Thank you, Dr. Sushmita, for your kind words of introduction. First of all, I would like to wish all of you a very happy and healthy new year. And I also want to place gratitude of many of our community for doing an excellent work during the pandemic. If we are sitting today in front of you, it is all because of the help given during pandemic time by your professional workers. It's been an amazing work, and I just hope and pray that rest of India learns from the medical community in servicing the country. Now, first of all, I must thank you that you have invited me in October 2021, November 2021, and not in March 2020. If I was standing here in March 2020 period, I don't know what you would have talked about me. I would have lost probably half of your wealth. I would have given negative returns for 3 to 5 years of investments. And people will be wondering that what have Nilesh Bhai done? But such is the nature of the market. There are dark days, there are good days. And that's where I thought it's time to kind of reflect what has happened in the past, what's happening today, and what's going to happen in the future. And this is more of a very commonsensical knowledge. See, in investments, there is no way to predict tomorrow. Standing today, I have no idea what will happen tomorrow. All of us have to follow a very disciplined investment process. But what years of investment markets have taught us, that if economy does well, corporates will do well. And if corporate does well, eventually markets will do well. In March 2020, when stock prices had corrected and Nifty was at 7,500 level, we were very confident that eventually market will bounce back. Why were we saying that? Because we were always confident on your community that medical professionals, like always, will find out a cure for COVID-19, and this storm will pass in 3-6 months. Actually, that happened. Lockdown got lifted, vaccination arrived, medical professionals knew how to treat this disease, and slowly and steadily, life got normalized. In a country's history of 100 years, 50 years, a 3 months, 6 months is a small dot. And today, markets have forgotten COVID era, and they are looking towards the future optimistically. Now, let me try to give you some inputs why you should be bullish on India, why you can make 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year, 30-year investments bet on India. If we look at the cull of India, well, in last 70, 75 years, we have done well, but others have done far better than us. In 1960, India and Korea were of similar size. Today, they are 10 times bigger than us in per capita GDP. In 1980, India and China were of similar size. Today, they are 5 times bigger than us in per capita GDP. Bangladesh is now going to be bigger than India in per capita GDP. So last 70 years, we have done well, but others have done far better. And which is where we have realized our constraints and we have slowly started removing them. And I can confidently say that what we have seen in last 30 years in India, we will see far better and far more in next 30 years in India. And hence, this is not the time to be short on India. It is time to be part of India growth story through equity market. If you remember the early Hindi movies, Roti Kapda Makan, Mother India, Kali Charan, the villain was always food black marketeer. Now, if you see today's movie, villain is terrorist, politician, police officer, but never a black marketeer. This transition of India is reflecting high inflation to moderate inflation. Many of you will wonder that Nilesh bhai आजकल तो headline में लिख रहा है कि inflation ऊपर है. Do you know that today India's inflation is lower than America? At that level of inflation where we are lower than America, people are complaining high inflation. That shows our tolerance level has come down so much. This transition of India from high inflation to moderate inflation is happening because government of India has mandated Reserve Bank of India to target inflation. We are one of the few countries in the world which is doing this. Pre 1991, all of you remember that if we wanted to go abroad, we had to take Hawala. Many of you studied abroad, and many of you had to work there to survive because even if your family had money in India, they could not have sent it to you. There was such a shortage of FX reserves in our country. In fact, many of you will remember in 91, we had to pledge gold so that we can get some foreign currency loan. Today, we are the fourth largest holder of FX reserves in the world. We have more than $640 billion of FX reserves, and practically Hawala market is meant only for criminals. No good citizen has to go to Hawala market. Whatever money you want to carry abroad, it is available. In fact, as an individual, you can transfer $250,000 abroad under liberated remittance scheme. India has transited from FX shortage economy to FX surplus economy. Many of you will remember that if we had to travel Mumbai, Pune in olden days, it was an overnight journey. And most of the time when we were crossing the ghats, we will be generally remembering God. Now, if you can outcome the Mumbai's traffic, then Mumbai Pune is 1.5 hour journey. And sometimes if your driver is running fast like my wife, then you will still remember the God, but that's for a separate reason. India is moving from infrastructure deficit to infrastructure availability. If you remember, you would have seen videos of a double stack container train running at 100 kilometers an hour on dedicated freight corridor. Now, a goods train running at 100 kilometers an hour, people underestimate what change it can make. Other than on dedicated freight corridor, goods train run at 25 kilometers an hour. In Mumbai, we have that TCS marathon. The top runners of marathon run faster than our goods train. But with dedicated freight corridor, we have improved goods train speed by almost 4. This April, May 2021, when there was shortage of oxygen, we were able to transport oxygen tankers on the goods train on dedicated freight corridor, and we were able to move oxygen. Oxygen crisis was bad, but our response ensured that it got resolved much faster. This is the transition of India from infrastructure deficit to infrastructure availability. We haven't reached Western standards where infrastructure is surplus, but someday we will reach there. Our country is also changing from physical infrastructure to physical and digital infrastructure. There was a colonial magazine reporter He was put to India, and for 3 4 years when he stayed here, he could only write bad things about India. In 4 years, he couldn't find anything good in India, including chole bhature. He complained it about being oily. Then he was shifted to France because he did such a great work about India. The first tweet he made after reaching France was, when I wanted to shift money in India from one bank account to another bank account, it was instant. The damn thing takes 3 days in France. Person who couldn't find anything good in India, including in Chole Bhature, realized India's goodness moment he was moved out. Today, our digital infrastructure is superior or comparable to Western worlds. And more importantly, this digital infrastructure is owned in public space. When you use Visa and MasterCard, it is private oligopoly or duopoly. When you use RuPay, it is owned by Government of India for public good. Our Bheem, Aadhaar, UPI, these are all publicly owned infrastructure. And on top of it, any entrepreneur of India or abroad can build a pipeline and start utilizing that data. This is the biggest difference between India's digital infrastructure and others' digital infrastructure. When I was a kid, many of my relatives will come from abroad, and their standard word was, in your India, this is how things happen, and in our America, this is how things happen. They were always throwing, tantrums about how good America was over India. Now, when they come here, I also give it back. I said, in our India, we get vaccination certificate digitally. But in your America, you get physical copy and that also after 7 days. दिल को इतना सुकून मिलता है because of this that I'm able to return back things after 3 decades. On a serious note, this movement from physical infrastructure to physical and digital infrastructure is going to give tremendous opportunity to India. Earlier, we had crony capitalism. If you had to ask for permission of something, you were forced to take shortcuts, whether it was related to iron ore mines, coal mines, or related to telecom spectrum, you had to take shortcuts. Now, things are becoming more transparent, things are becoming more meritocracy oriented. It's not that we have conquered the demon of corruption, but it is certainly on its way down. This shift from crony capitalism to meritocracy to transparency is going to lay the foundation of new India. Now, these are all smaller changes. High inflation to moderate inflation, low FX reserves to high FX reserves, deficit to infrastructure availability, physical to physical and digital infrastructure, crony capitalism to meritocracy and transparency. These are all minor changes. There are two big changes which India is doing and which makes us very confident about India. The first and the most important change is availability of capital. Many of us, could not become entrepreneur because our parents didn't leave enough money. Some of you are best doctors of India, but you couldn't think of setting up hospital because your parent didn't leave enough money for you. Starting hospital, starting clinic was very, very expensive proposition and it required capital. By God's grace, all of us have done well in life. If our kids wants to start a business, we will be able to give them money. However, our kids are not dependent upon our money. If they have idea, there are many venture capitalists and private equity people who are available. They will back their idea. We have shifted from Lalaji Sethji culture, where Sheth's son or daughter can start a business, to idea-based culture where anyone with an idea will be able to raise capital. If you look at Farm Easy and Thyrocare, now it's a combined company. And Farm Easy's promoter, Siddharth, is a young boy. His father is Dr. Bhaskar, I believe. I have heard about him, so I'm just putting this in perspective. Siddharth could set up a very, very large company simply because he had idea of selling medicine online. And with that, today he has created an enterprise, a company. Today's India will be able to back entrepreneurs with capital, which was missing earlier. Earlier, our talent from IIT, IIM, medicine, engineering had to go abroad because in India there was shortage of capital. Today, all those guys are staying in India and starting businesses, and that entrepreneurship can lift India to a greater heights. Finally, the biggest change which is happening in India is transition of India from public sector ownership to public private partnership. There was a time when Tatas used to run Tata Airlines. It was a small airline, but being Tata's, it had a very, very good quality and services. If you read a book called Beyond the Blue Mountains by Rusi Lala on JRD Tata, there is a small incident about Tata Airline. At Zurich Airport, in the olden days where wristwatch was a luxury and mobile phone was not there, two people were standing, and one guy asked, "What is the time?" And he said, 12 o'clock. And he said, "How can you be so sure?" He said, "Oh, I'm seeing Zurich Bombay flight landing from Tata Airlines. It must be 12." That was the hallmark of punctuality for Tata Airlines. Then it became Air India, government owned company. Now it has the distinction of more number of employees per plane than passengers per plane. And you all know how Air India's services is. We as a country have pumped in about 100,000 crore, 1 lakh crore into Air India to keep it floating. But elephants can't fly. And now we are handing it over back to Tatas. Will Tatas be able to restore Air India to its original glories? We have hope. If that happens, can Tata Airline or Air India become as big as Singapore Airline, Emirates, or Etihad? Answer is yes. If that happens, then can there be development of tourism sector in India? Today, a small museum in France called Louvre, they have more visitors than whole of India. Now, Louvre has Mona Lisa and some other paintings. It's very good. But is it as good as India? We are a live, vibrant economy country. We have heritage, we have culture, we have snow, we have desert, we have so many things. Why are people not visiting here as much as they are visiting Louvre Museum? Well, the infrastructure was missing. But at least one part of that infrastructure through Tata Airline, Air India can happen. And suddenly, this public private partnership will create tremendous growth. And it's not just Air India, it's BPCL, IDBI Bank, Container Corporation, Shipping Corporation, and so on and so forth. And that 100,000 crore which we were investing in Air India will now be available to government for setting up schools, colleges, hospitals, clinics, and so on and so forth. This availability of capital to entrepreneurs and public-private partnership for growth and development are the two biggest change in India, and that lays foundation for tomorrow's India. I have no doubt in my mind that what growth we witnessed from 1991 when Dr. Manmohan Singh and Narasimha Rao led India's liberalization till 2021, we are going to see far better growth, far bigger growth, far higher growth between 2021 to 2000, maybe 51 or so. And this is where you need to participate in India growth story. We will see many more Narayan Murthy, Azim Premji, Shiv Nadar, Dilip Sanghvi, Dr. Reddy type entrepreneurs coming and creating far bigger and far better companies. Now, this is very easy to understand. No one can debate about it. This is all visible to you. And we are already seeing benefits of last 30 years in recent times. We were 10th largest economy in 2014. Today, we are 6th largest economy in the world. And in a couple of years, we will become third largest economy. We were 12th largest mobile handset manufacturers in 2014. Today, we are second largest mobile handset manufacturer in the world. Today, we are the third largest automobile manufacturer in the world. We are the second largest steel manufacturer in the world. We are the second largest producer of electricity power in the world. So slowly and steadily, India is moving up, and next 30 years will be far better than previous 30 years. And the only way to participate in this growth story is through equity investment. And equity investment is very simple, very commonsensical, but it requires Agni Pariksha. There's a colleague of mine who called up somewhere in March 2020 from his family doctor's clinic. And he said, Nilesh bhai, can you talk to my doctor? And I said, sure. And the doctor sahab told me that Nilesh bhai, I had invested in some stocks, some mutual funds, and markets have corrected. And it takes away my peaceful sleep. I am a doctor. I want safety of investments. And this kind of drop down, this kind of losses actually disturb me. I want to sell everything and move into bank deposits. I can sleep peacefully. Now, in March 2020, you can imagine what will be our scenario. We ourselves were grasping with what had happened. We had no idea about COVID. And what will I argue with a doctor? My medical knowledge will be very, very limited to argue. In that dark days, I just requested that, sir, please wait for 3 months. Today, markets are negative. There's a lot of despair. But please wait for 3 months and then we will see. I had no idea that in 3 months things would have improved, but I just wanted to buy time because that was not the time to sell. Unfortunately, he didn't hear me. He sold his assets over a period of time and moved everything into bank deposits. After about 4 or 5 months, he called up saying that, Nilesh bhai, what return I'm going to get in bank deposits over next 3 years? The markets have already delivered in 3 or 4 months. Now what should I do? I said, sir, you wanted peaceful sleep. Now you should sleep peacefully. Equity market is a very, very easy money, but it requires Agni Pariksha. If you had invited me in March 20, I can assure you that all of you will be very, very disappointed with me. In my equity investments, in my equity mutual funds, for 3 years, I had given negative return. For 5 years, my return was lower than bank fixed deposit. And for 10 years, my return would have barely met bank deposits. And all of you would have been legitimate in asking कि नीलेश भाई क्या किया 10-10 साल पैसा दिया और कुछ return ही नहीं बनाया. Today in October 20, in November 21, when I am in front of you, my equity funds have delivered returns of 20% and 15% and 25%. Every customer is happy. In fact, this Diwali, I have a family doctor. So every Diwali, I go and wish him. So he said, Nilesh, ek baat puchu. I said, sir, please puchiye. So he said, you send those account statements. Are they real? So I said, sir, they are real. He said, if I redeem, will you ensure that all those money will come into my bank account? I said, sure, surely it will come. This is all real. There's no fraud over there. I said, I can't believe I have made this much money. This is the uh, potential of equity investments if you are a long-term investor. But you have to go through Agni Pariksha. March 2020, April 2020, September 2020, they were all very, very painful days when you see your wealth melt away. But that was the time to hold on to your investments. That was the time to add more to those investments. And if you can withstand that Agni Pariksha, today's return will look unrealistic. My request to all the medical fraternity is very, very simple. Please start systematic investment plan. You get money on a daily basis or a monthly basis. Please save some money out of that in some good equity mutual funds. Consult a good mutual fund distributor or advisor. He'll recommend 2-3 large cap funds, 2-3 mid cap funds, 2-3 small cap funds. Build a portfolio of 10 equity mutual funds. Do SIP in this on a regular basis. And every year, when your income goes up, Start topping up your SIP. If you're doing 50,000 SIP this year, next year try to do 55 or 60,000 rupee monthly SIP. Second, be a long-term investor. Don't look at your portfolio on a daily basis, monthly basis. Look at it once in a 6 months. There will be periods where markets will go up and down. Your returns will vary, but stay invested over a longer period of time and you'll realize the benefit of compounding. Third, don't put all eggs in one basket. Today, when you see returns of cryptos, when you see return of equity, it looks unrealistic. It looks very, very good. But that doesn't mean that you put all your money in cryptos or equities. Siddhant mentioned that you should not have more than 5% in crypto. If you would have shown the return of cryptos, one could be tempted to put 100% in crypto, but there is a risk and there is a return. So please put some money in equities, some money in debt, some money in offshore assets, some money in real estate, some money in commodities like gold, and that portfolio should outperform over a longer term basis. These three simple principles: regular investment, long term investment, and diversified investment is more than sufficient to give you financial freedom, and it will also give you peaceful sleep if you reconcile with the volatility. uh, there will be Agni Pariksha in markets, in cryptos, in equities, sometimes even in fixed income. We just have to withstand that volatility once in a while. Like today, when I fall ill, I don't start hoping that I will die. I just go to my doctor and trust him or her, and he or she will give me medication. He will ask me to modify my lifestyle. He will give me some, gyan on exercise. And with that, I'll be able to recover my disease. I'll be able to overcome my disease. The way you treat patients, we have to treat your money. Be a regular investor, be a long-term investor, be a diversified investor, and believe in India growth story. I can assure you, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line, if we meet again, you will thank me for giving this long India growth story. Thank you. Happy to take your questions.
Wow, that has been really, really enlightening and amazing talk, Nilesh sir. I completely relate to what you said, that last year people have sold off quite a few, their equity portfolio. And actually, this is a personal incident. I was also planning to do the same. But unfortunately, because of this COVID work and then my mother who was sick, I kind of delayed it. And today, I've still not been able to sell it. And today it is double the amount. So I'm like, it's a lifetime experience. And what you have said is absolutely correct. See, last year, what people panicked, where people panicked, there some patience was required. For me, it happened inadvertently. It was divine intervention. But yes, many people must have already sold off quite a lot of their funds. So, are there any questions from the audience, or Ms. Nehal, would you like to ask some questions?
Yeah, first of all, Nilesh bhai, thank you so much. Whenever you come to talk to doctors, our job becomes very easy. And I want to personally compliment you that 5 years back, to the same audience, you had come in, given a talk on how equity works, and you had given examples, Asian Paints moving from 100 to 2-3,000, and a lot of companies, a lot of doctors, I can say in hundreds and thousands, started actually following your advice. And I and Finovate and the financial OPD team has been witness of that. And most of these doctors are today sitting at a compounding return of anywhere between 15 to 20%. And the biggest compliment which I want to give you is that when we started looking at their finances 5 years back, the asset allocation, what you said, 95% was real estate and gold and fixed deposit, and less than 5% of their portfolio was equity. In 5 years, I can say a very big change. Today, they are 50% real estate and 40 to 45% equity, mutual funds, and direct stocks. So just one talk of yours can make such a huge impact on their asset allocation, that from a 95% physical assets to down 50%. and 45% financial assets in the portfolio. It's commendable. I want to personally thank you for that. I think Dr. Mukesh will remember we both had come to your office and briefed you about how doctor's portfolio is so heavy, in real estate and in fixed deposits and gold. And you very rightly had done that presentation, giving the importance. And I remember that one slide, you just said the doctors ki, main aapko prescription de raha hu, regular, long term and asset allocation, power of compounding. And I think after that, we've picked up and we've got every doctor to just follow that. And, so you really make our life very easy as investment
Thank you,
advisor.
Neil. I'm just repaying my debt. I have received so many good advice from my doctors about living a healthy life. I'm trying to repay my debt by making them live healthy financial life.
Just a few questions. We are constantly being asked these questions that Nifty is at 18, 19,000. It's too expensive. And certain sectors like chemical, metals, they are all moved 8, 10 times in the last 12 months. So a lot of time people just ask that, is this the right time to be invested in equity or continue, being invested in equity? So what would be your, answer to them?
So Neil, equities or equity index is like your patient's age. Your patients will always keep on aging higher and higher. You don't call them that you are at a lifetime high age. Well, they'll be by nature. Now, in equity markets, you go up and down undoubtedly. But on an average, as long as economy grows, your markets will continue to grow. So remember Nifty as your patient's age. Last year you met, it was at all-time high. This year you met, it is at all-time high. Next year you will meet the patient. Again, it will be at all-time high. Second, within equities, there are stocks. Now, some are stocks like kids. You are born with 2 kg. And after 3-4 years, when they come, they become 10 kg or 20 kg. They multiply very fast. Then some are adulthood. When they come, they are 60, 70, 80 kg. Next they come, they'll be 61, 65 or 75 kg, but they won't multiply like kids. So stocks also have different time period. Some are adult sons, some are adult, some are old senior citizen. And if you create a portfolio of that growth stock, not so good growth stocks, there will be different kinds of return. So just because a stock is delivered 10 times return doesn't mean that it is expensive. And just because stock has fallen 50% doesn't mean that it has become cheaper. I'll give you a very small example. There's this gentleman whom I know, and he has been owning HDFC shares for ages. And every time he needs money for daughter's education, son's marriage, or some other expenditure, he'll sell some part of HDFC stock. And his life has been very well rewarded thanks to that investment. Now, if you see the high-low difference of HDFC in a year, it will be at least 30-40%. Now, if someone is very smart and exceptionally blessed, he will always buy HDFC at the bottom in a year and sell at the top and pocket 30-40% a year. But how many people I can find that in the world? Not even one. But here is a common man, not very knowledgeable, but extremely, having common sense. He's holding HDFC with and ignoring all the price movements here and there. And he has just hold on to for a period of time. The returns in HDFC over 30 years will be some 1 lakh percentage time. So please don't worry about volatility. Give your money to professional and stay invested in these 3 buckets of long-term investment, regular investment, and asset allocation. That is more than sufficient.
The other question is that there is so much buzz around the Zomato and the Nykas and the Paytms of the world. The whole startup space has like really heated up. And now companies are getting listed at valuations of 1 lakh crore plus. Britannia has been making biscuits and delivering it to almost all our houses. And Britannia today stands at a valuation, I'll say lesser or probably equal to these internet startups which have really become. So there's a constant question that should they invest in these IPOs, or what about the such high valuations in these recently listed or to be listed companies?
So if you want to invest in, let's say, startup world, most seasoned investors there follow a strategy called monkey to gorilla to King Kong. They rear so many monkeys. Then some of the monkeys grow and become gorilla. They put more money into it. And then one of the gorilla becomes very big and becomes King Kong. They put more money into it. And later on, they go to the world saying that when this was such a small monkey, I started raising it. And today it has become King Kong. But they don't go and tell that rest of the 90 monkeys which I was rearing are already dead. This is called spray and paint kind of game. You have to invest in many startups. Most of them will fail. Some of them will succeed. And one of them will succeed maximum. Now, if you are investing in IPO, you are taking a call on just one particular stock. Now, do you know about their business? Do you know about their valuation? Answer is most people will not know. So don't make investments without doing research. Today, a Zomato, a Nykaa, you'll have to evaluate it on a consistent basis. We ourselves are trying to figure out how to value them, and we don't have perfect answer. In the whole market, it is like five blind men trying to identify elephant. But we'll figure out a way to value them. So net, instead of putting money in one company, it's far better to put money in a diversified portfolio. Monkey to gorilla to King Kong is the strategy. So if you're investing in IPO, try to create a diversified portfolio rather than one stock portfolio.
Okay, fine. So I guess it's better not to just bet on the news which is going around and frenzy around the Nykas and the Zomatos of the world, and stick to companies which have predictable cash flows, which have been around for a long time, generating profits. And if you have the risk appetite, instead of one IPO, you bet it in multiple names like you suggested, and build a strategy around rearing these IPOs for a longer period of time for some of them to grow, but with the caveat that there is a risk, because it will take time for even fund managers or even people from industry to understand their business models and understand how they will make profits. And basically they becoming a part of the mainstream, I will say, investments in the funds.
So can we have one last question from Dr. Mukesh Gupta? Nehal, you had something else?
No, that's it. I was just going to say any doctor can unmute and ask questions.
Yeah,
now that Nilesh
Mukesh Gupta wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, madam, for giving the chance. First of all, I would like to make a comment and then the question. Almost more than half a decade back, when Nehal and myself had visited his clinic, his office, he had categorically asked for the insight of the mindset of the target audience. I was feeling so humbled that a person with his knowledge is still interested to know what our people would like to hear from him. And that is his, intellect or expertise, where he precisely knows what the audience wants. And as Nehal had rightly put up, sir, in half a decade, many of us, including yours truly, has gained a lot from those tips. And trust me, my portfolio has changed drastically after the interactions with you. And your recording of that session at AMC, we literally caught hold of our friends and we asked them to watch it and made them understand the power of compounding and how it is important. The examples of Marutis and this and that, and as she said. Now the question here is this. So now a lot of our colleagues are moving into that startup culture. So there is a lot of intent and interest of trying to be a part of this, the new feeling that. So what are the common errors or mistakes that we make, or what things we should be watchful when we start entering into that startup culture, where we think that the money will come from startup and valuation and then finally the IPO in the stock market? So any tips for that, sir?
So Mukesh bhai, I will strongly recommend you to encourage entrepreneurs within your community. And what you can do under the aegis of AMC, invite them to give a presentation. And then all of those who are interested, they can give money to them. That way, you will all create a diversified portfolio. Instead of putting 100 rupee in one startup, let's put 5 rupee in 20 startups. So there are many monkeys at the bottom. Then after 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, they will come back to you. They'll have to explain what they have done with your money. Out of 20 startups, 15 would have died because they would not have survived. But 5 would have grown. Now you can put more money into that. And over a period of time, one of them will become really big. Now, this is what is required to be done. You all know, you are all very well connected. And if people from your community start doing something related to medical field or around it, there's a very good chance that with your help, with your support and with your money, they will become successful. If in outside world, 2 out of 20 startups will succeed under the aegis of AMC and your support, 5 out of 20 will succeed. And that's a fantastic return on investment. So be a part of startup culture by giving money, by giving support to them, and creating a diversified portfolio of many companies rather than just one company.
Thank you so much. I think this was a brilliant advice,
Thank you.
and I think we will take some help from Nehal and team and serve with you also. Thank you so much. It's a brilliant advice.
Thank you, Nilesh. Hello. Thank you, Nilesh.
Thank you.
I heard you last time and followed your prescription sincerely. Here
Thank you,
at
sir.
AMC, we must say we are all fortunate to hear you again today. Now I request Madam Nehal Mota, co-founder of Innovate, to present the certificate, and Dr. Sushmita Bhatnagar, President AMC, to present the memento to Mr. Nilesh Shah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Balega. I can say this is a once in a lifetime opportunity where someone whom I look up to, and for his whole knowledge of finance and how he's transformed the industry. So thank you so much, Mr. Nilesh Shah, for your valuable time today. And this is just a small certificate of appreciation for enlightening us and giving us a confidence in the India growth story over the next 3 decades. Thank you so much. All over to you, Dr. Sushmita.
Many thanks with folded hands from me, first of all, for accepting our invitation with the kind intervention of Dr. Suhasha, and secondly, for such enlightening talk. I'm sure you will continue to enlighten us, and you would continue to be associated with AMC as our advisor. Maybe we can form a financial board, and you could be advisor on that board. We will internally discuss this and come back to you. Sir.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much.